my name is Gallardo. We're going to be moving on to our next session of our workout. What we're going to begin with today is a warm-up, and the first exercise that we're actually going to do for our warm-up is a light jog. We're going to do the light jog for 2 minutes. If you need to cut it up into 2 parts, you can do 1 minute, take a little 30-second breather, and then do the other minute on the second set. We're going to begin the light jog now. Remember to make sure you maintain that light jog at your own pace. You don't want to get too tired because we are going to be doing this for 2 minutes. Make sure you're breathing in through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Doing good. Doing good. We're halfway there. Almost done, you guys. And time. That is the end of our first exercise. And take a little breather and we'll be back for the next one. Okay, we're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. What we're actually going to be doing are called rocking butt kicks. So for those, what you want to do is you just want to have your legs open a little wider than shoulder width apart. You're going to kick your left leg to your opposite buttocks, and then you're going to do the vice versa with the right leg kicking the opposite butt cheek as well. We're going to do that for 2 minutes. Remember, if you do want to split it, you could do 1 minute, take a little breather, and then do the second minute. Beginning now. Doing good. We do want to get the blood flowing through our legs. Doing good. Remember to keep breathing. Almost done. and time. That is the end of our rocking butt kicks. We're going to take a little breather, and we'll be back to move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on now to our next exercises. What we're going to be doing are actually laying side leg raises. What you're going to want to do is get down on the mat very, very slowly and carefully. You're going to want to lay on your side, making sure that your arm on the bottom is pointing up and that your head is resting on top of it. You're going to want to put your left arm or whichever arm is on top, making sure your palms are facing downward. What you're going to do is bring up your foot, then bring it down. You're going to take it up, hold it, bring it down. You want to hold it there for 2 seconds, bring it down. We're going to do that. We're going to do we're going to do one set of those for a minute, alternating every 30 seconds. Beginning now. Doing good. Making sure you're still inhaling and exhaling. Exhaling as your leg comes down, goes up, and inhaling as your leg goes down. Doing good. We're going to go ahead and stop. We're going to go ahead and switch sides. And we're going to go ahead and begin our other 30 seconds now. Making sure hip abductors are opening up. Getting ready for our workout for today. And time. That is the end of that exercise. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on now to alternating leg raises. So what you're going to want to do for those is make sure you get on all fours. You're going to want to make sure that your knee is directly below your hip and that your arms are directly below your elbows, straight down. You're going to want to make sure that you continue to look straight up. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring your leg out and you're going to raise it. Then back down and raise it. We're going to do this exercise for a minute. We're going to do each leg for 30 seconds, beginning now. Making sure that your trunk and hip flexors are opening up, also as well getting ready for today's workout. Doing good. Go ahead and switch. Almost done. Keep pushing through. Make sure you're breathing. And time. That is the end of that exercise. We're going to take a little breather and we'll be back for the next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. What we're actually going to be doing are called walking dorsiflexion taps, also known as toy soldiers. So for those, what you're going to want to do is you're just going to walk straight, and as you're walking straight, you're going to bring one leg up. Make sure you tap your toe, then the opposite one. Making sure you're tapping that toe, or at least going as far as you can, and at your own pace. We're going to do this for 2 minutes. Remember, if you want to break it up into 2 sets, 1 minute each, that is totally fine. We're going to begin now. Doing good. Doing good, you guys. We're halfway there. Almost done. And time. That is the end of that exercise. We're going to take a little breather and we'll be back to move on to our next exercise. Back, we're actually going to move on now to our next exercise. What we're going to be doing now are called knee hugs. So for a knee hug, what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to stand shoulder width apart. You're going to bring your knee up to your chest, pulling it to you as much as you can, bringing it back down slowly, and going back to the next one, bringing it back down slowly. Every single time you bring up your knee to your chest, you're going to want to make sure to try to pull a little bit harder just to get it closer. We're going to do that for 2 minutes. Once again, you're going to split it into 1 minute and 1 minute. That is more than fine. We're going to begin now. Remember to keep breathing. Doing good. Doing good. Keep pulling. Doing really good. We're halfway there. Doing good. Keep pushing through. And time. That is the end of our warm-up section. We're going to take a little breather and move on to circuit 1. Hi, we're back. We're going to move on to circuit 1. The first exercise in circuit 1 is going to be a power and strength exercise. What we're actually going to be doing are called leg extensions. So what you're going to need is a chair, and what I got was a backpack, and all I did was just fill it up with a few books just to add that extra weight. And what you're going to do after is you're going to want to sit down. You're going to want to sit on the chair, making sure your back is straight. You're going to put the backpack on top of your shoes. What you're going to do, sit up straight. You're going to bring your legs up and back down. Then up again and back down. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 30 seconds. Make sure that when you bring your legs up that you are squeezing and making sure you're feeling that contracting going on your quads. 30 seconds, beginning now. Making sure you're still breathing as you're you're doing each one. Exhaling as your legs come up. One more. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of leg extensions. 30 seconds, beginning now. Doing good. Make sure we're still breathing. One more. Good. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of leg extensions, beginning now. Our third set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise under power and strength section. What we're going to be doing are actually called squat knee taps. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to squat only as low as you can go. And you're going to squat one time, coming up, bringing one leg and tapping it with your hand. You're going to bring your leg down, squat, tapping your other knee with your opposite hand every single time you come up. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 20 seconds, beginning now. Remember to only go as low as you can go. And bringing that knee up as high as you can to your chest to make sure that your hand can tap it. Make sure to continue breathing. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our squat and knee taps, second set, beginning now. Remember, it is 20 seconds, going only as low as you can go and going only at your pace, making sure as you're squatting that your chest remains up and straight. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on now to our third set of squat and knee taps. Remember, 20 seconds, beginning now. At your own pace, making sure your posture remains straight up, chest remains sticking up. Doing good. Keep pushing through. Keep breathing, and time. That is the end of our squat and knee taps exercise. We're going to take a breather and move on to our next one. We're back. We're going to move on to our core and musculature exercise. You are going to need a chair for this one. What we're going to be doing are actually called leg lifts. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sit somewhat in the middle of your chair. You're going to grab the side of your chair. You're going to want to make sure you have enough space to lean back. You're going to have your legs straight. You're going to pick them up into a crunch and extend. Pick them up and extend. Remember that as you are bringing your knees to your chest, that's when you are exhaling. Once you're bringing your legs straight, that's your inhaling. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 15 seconds each one. Or if you want to just work on the reps, you can do 8 to 12 reps. Beginning now. That is the end of our first set. We're gonna take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're gonna move on to our second set of leg lifts, beginning now. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're gonna take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're gonna move on to our third set of our core muscular exercise, beginning now. And time. That is the end of our core musculature section for our first circuit. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on now to our balance and stability section. What we're going to be doing is actually called a quad stretch with an arm reach. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stand in place with your feet shoulder width apart, making sure that your chest is up and everything is, all your core and everything is strong. You're going to want to grab your leg towards your butt and reaching at the same time with the opposite arm. Then moving on to the next one and vice versa. We're going to do this for 3 reps and each one is going to be for 30 seconds. Beginning now. Make sure you're breathing and make sure you're squeezing your core, maintaining your posture. Doing good. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of quad stretch with arm reach, beginning now. Doing good. Control that posture, squeeze that core. Doing really good. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our our third set, beginning now. 30 seconds, maintaining that posture and squeezing that core. Make sure you're going at your own pace. Doing good. And time. That is the end of our balance and stability exercise for our first circuit. We're going to take a breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our speed and agility section. What we're going to be doing are actually lateral runs with a toe check. So for that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start with your legs a little wider than shoulder width apart. You're going to want to just bend your knees slightly, and you're going to run 4 steps and tap your toe, or tap as low as you can go. And then you're going to do it to the opposite side and tap again. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 15 seconds, beginning now. Doing good. Make sure you're breathing as you're going. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set. Remember, 15 seconds, beginning now. We're going to take a breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set. Remember, 15 seconds, beginning now. Time. That is the end of our speed and agility section. For this circuit, we're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our cardiovascular aerobic training exercises. What we're going to be doing today is actually called a boxer shuffle. So for a boxer shuffle, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to keep your arms posted against your sides, making sure that you're good. What you're going to want to do is turn your feet one foot in and then the opposite. We're going to do that for 1 minute and 40 seconds, and we're going to do 3 sets of those, beginning now. Remember to go at your own pace and to keep breathing. We want to make sure that we can complete the 1 minute and 40 seconds. Doing good? Doing good. Keep going. We're halfway there. Keep breathing. Doing good. Almost. Time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of boxer shuffles, 1 minute and 40 seconds, beginning now. Doing good. We're halfway there. And time. That's the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of boxer shuffles. Remember, it's 1 minute and 40 seconds, beginning now. on, keep pushing through. We're halfway there. Almost done. Three, two, one, time. That is the end of our third set and the end of circuit one. We're gonna take a breather and move on to our second circuit. We're back. We're gonna move on now to lunge with a torso twist. That's gonna be our first power and strength exercise for this circuit. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna open your legs a good amount. You're gonna wanna make sure the back one is straight for the beginning, and then you're gonna wanna just lunge into it, making sure your posture is straight up and that you're squeezing your core at all times. You're gonna wanna turn one way, back to the center, and rotate to the other one, then back to the center. We're gonna do that for 30 seconds, alternating at 15 seconds. We're gonna do 3 sets of these. Beginning now. Make sure you're maintaining that posture. Only go as low as you can go, trying to get that rotation as much as you can. Doing good. And go ahead and switch. Next 15 seconds. And keep going. Time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of lunge with torso twist. Remember, 30 seconds, 15 seconds on each side. Beginning now. Doing good. And go ahead and switch. Making sure you're squeezing that core, making sure our posture remains up. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third and final set of lunge and torso twist. Remember, it's 30 seconds, 15 seconds each leg, beginning now. Doing good. Go ahead and switch. And time. That is the end of our lunge with torso twist exercise. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next one. We're back. We're going to move on now to our second power and strength exercise for circuit 2. What we're going to be doing are actually called arm and leg abductors. So what you're going to want to do is, if you need assistance, you're going to go ahead, hold down to a chair. What you're going to want to do is make sure your arm and your leg are still down, abducting them both at the same time. Coming down together, going up together, coming down together. We're going to do this for 30 seconds, alternating every 15 seconds on each side. Beginning now. And go ahead and switch. end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of leg and arm abductions, beginning now. And switch. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of arm and leg abductions, beginning now. Go ahead and switch. One more. Time. That is the end of our leg and abduction exercise. What we're going to do now is take a breather and move on to our next one. We're back. We're going to move on now to our core and musculature exercise. What we're going to be doing are actually called seated opposite crunches. So what you're going to want to do for that is make sure that you are on a chair and that your posture is straight up. You're going to want to put your hands behind your head like so. You're going to bring up one of your legs towards your opposite elbow, making sure you're crunching, and back open, and vice versa. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 20 seconds. You want to make sure that as you're crunching, bringing your elbow towards your knee, that you are exhaling and inhaling when you are coming straight back up. Remember, we're going to do 3 sets of those for 20 seconds, beginning now. Making sure you're squeezing your core as you're bringing your knee to your elbow. Time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on. You can choose to add a few more seconds if you'd like, or if you want to do it in reps, just make sure you're doing 8 to 12 reps on each side. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set, beginning now. And time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set, beginning now. Time. That is the end of our core and musculature exercise for this section. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. We're going to be moving on to our balance and stability section as well. What we're going to be doing are called single leg stands with hamstring stretch. So what you're going to want to do for that is you're actually going to want to stand on one leg, bringing your opposite leg forward, making sure that your toes are pointed up and that you're in a dorsiflexion form. If you need any kind of assistance, you can go ahead and hold on to a chair. What we're going to do is we're actually going to do this stretch for 30 seconds, 15 seconds on each leg. We're going to do our first set, beginning now. Make sure as you're doing this that you're squeezing your core and that your posture remains straight and up. Doing good. Good. Go ahead and switch. Make sure we're squeezing. 3, 2, 1, time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back for our second set of single leg balance with a hamstring stretch. Remember, it's going to be 30 seconds with 15 seconds on each side, beginning now. Make sure we're squeezing, pulling up, doing good. Go ahead and switch. Good, and time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of single leg balance with a hamstring stretch. Our 30 seconds begins now. Remember, we are switching at 15 seconds. Maintain that posture, squeeze your core. Doing really good. Go ahead and switch. Doing good. Three, two, 1, time. That is the end of our balance and stability exercises for circuit 2. We're going to take a breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our speed and agility section. So we're actually going to be doing our called quick feet. So what you want to do for quick feet is you want to align 4 cups as you will see as so, or anything actually that you have at home. You can make 4 little spaces up. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you're here. Make sure you have enough room to run around the cups. You're going to go around them, back to the beginning, and we're going to keep going. We're going to do 3 sets of these for 15 seconds each one. We're going to begin our first set, beginning now. Doing good. Make sure you're breathing, going at your pace, but as fast as you can as well. Almost done. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of quick feet, beginning now. Doing good. Make sure we're breathing. And time. That is the end of our second set. Going to take a breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of our speed and agility exercise. 15 seconds begins now. Doing good. Make sure we're breathing. Going at our own pace. Getting those feet to move as quick as you possibly can. And time. That is the end of our speed and agility section for our second circuit. Going to take a breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. We're actually going to move into our cardiovascular and aerobic training section. What we're going to be doing are called circle runs. So what you're going to want to do for a circle run is you're just going to want to make sure that your arms are posted up or anywhere that you need them to be. You're going to run forward and back and make your way around in a circle. We're going to do that for 1 minute and 40 seconds, and we're going to do 3 sets of each, beginning now. Make sure that we are breathing and that we're going at our own pace, because we are going to do this for 1 minute and 40 seconds without stopping us, if possible. Doing good. Make sure we're breathing. 30 seconds, beginning now. Time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our third set of circle runs, beginning now. We're halfway there. Keep breathing. We're almost done. And time. That is the end of circuit 2 and the end of that exercise. Going to take a little breather and move on to our third circuit. We're back. We're going to move on to circuit 3. What we're going to begin with is our power and strength exercise. We're going to be doing a sumo to narrow squat. What those are is actually what you're going to want to do. What a sumo squat is, it's a wider squat. So you're going to want to make sure your legs are open a lot wider than shoulder width apart. You want to make sure that your toes are somewhat pointed a little bit to the outside. You're going to squat only as low as you can go, and then you're going to bring it in for a normal squat and back out for a sumo squat. We're going to do that. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 15 seconds each one. Our first set, beginning now. Doing good. Time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of sumo to narrow squats, beginning now. 15 seconds. Time. second set. We're gonna take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're gonna move on to our third set of sumo to narrow squats. Remember, 15 seconds, go at your own pace and make sure you're breathing, keeping your posture up at all times. Beginning now. And time. That is the end of our third set and the end of that exercise. We're going to take a breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our second exercise in our third circuit. What we're going to be doing is under the power and strength exercise and the last one for today's workout. What we're going to be doing is actually called a lunge to a staggered hinge. So what you're going to want to actually do is you're going to want to make sure you're lunging back, bringing your foot with your toe plantar flexed, and then you're going to hinge forward and back up. Going back again and repeat. We're going to do each side for 15 seconds, so a total of 30 seconds. We're going to do 3 sets beginning now. Remember, you do have the chair there for assistance. I'm sorry I did not mention that. Go ahead and switch. And time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're going to move on to our second set of lunge with staggered hinge. Remember, 15 seconds each leg. You can also remember that you can raise the time if you feel like you could do more. Beginning now. Doing good. One more. Go ahead and switch once you're done. Time. That is the end of our second set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our third set. We're back. We're going to move on to our final set of this exercise, beginning now. And switch. Time. That is the end of that exercise. I'm going to take a breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our core and musculature exercise. What we're going to be doing are actually called side leg lift crunches. So for that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place your hands behind your head. You're going to want to get your feet shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider. You're going to lift your leg sideways, making sure your elbow touches your knee as much as possible. You're going to do one side and then the opposite, and then one side and then the opposite. We're going to do 3 sets of those for 20 seconds each one. Beginning now. Exhaling as you're bringing your leg towards your elbow. Make sure that you're squeezing your core at the same time as you're crunching. Time. That is the end of our first set. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our second set. Back, we're going to move on to our second set, beginning now. Make sure we're breathing. Time. That is the end of our second set. Gonna take a little breather, move on to our third set. We're back. We're gonna move on now to our third set, beginning now. Make sure we're squeezing and breathing correctly. Doing good. Time. That is the end of our core musculature exercises for today. We're going to take a little breather, move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on now to our balance and stability section. What we're going to be doing today is actually called single leg balance with toe taps. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stand on one leg. You're going to have one leg up and you're just going to tap forward and back up. Tap forward and back up just with your toes. That's the only thing that will be touching. If you do need assistance, you're going to have your chair right here just to help you keep that balance. Remember, at all times, you still want to make sure you're squeezing your core, pulling your chest up, and breathing correctly, okay? We're going to do 3 sets of those for 30 seconds each one, 15 seconds on each leg. Beginning now. Go ahead and switch. Doing good. And time. That is the end of the first set. Gonna take a little breather, move on to our second set. We're back. We're gonna move on to our second set, beginning now. Make sure we're squeezing that core, pulling our chest up. And switch. Time. That is the end of our second set. Going to take a little breather and finish off with our third set. We're back. We're going to go ahead and move on to our third set, beginning now. And switch. Time. That is the end of our balance and stability exercises for today. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our cardiovascular and aerobic training section. What we're actually going to be doing today are actually called sky punches. So for sky punches, what you want to do is you want to remain with your legs a little wider than shoulder width apart. You want to have a tiny bend on your knees just to give you some balance and stability. What you're going to do is you're going to put your hands up like candlesticks. And you're just like tabletops, and you're just gonna punch up and down, up and down. We're gonna do that for 3 sets, each one being 1 minute and 40 seconds each one. We're gonna begin our first set now. Doing good, make sure to maintain your own pace and continue to breathe. We do want to continue to do this for a whole minute and 40 seconds. Doing good. And time. That is the end of our first set. Gonna take a little breather and move on to our second set. We're back. We're actually gonna move on now to our second set, beginning now. Doing good. Keep pushing through. Time. That is the end of our second set. Gonna take a little breather, move on to our third set. We're back. We're gonna move on to our third and final set of our sky punches, beginning now. Remember to go at your own pace and to continue breathing. This is our last exercise before we head on to our cool down. So push through, you guys. We're almost done. Almost done. Sorry about that. And time. That is the end of our third circuit. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our cool down. We're back. We're going to move on now to our cool down section. So what we're actually going to be doing first is called a figure 4 stretch. So for a figure 4 stretch, you want to get on the ground, of course. You want to put your legs up just straight in front of you. You're going to bring one leg in, pointing the bottom of your foot towards your knee, bringing it in, making a figure 4. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to reach down to your toe. You're going to want to keep breathing and you're going to hold it. We're going to do this for 2 minutes. With every 30 seconds, we're going to come up, take a deep breath. We're going to let it out as we go back down, and we're going to switch every 30 seconds. Beginning now. Make sure you continue to breathe. Bring it up. Go ahead and switch legs. And back down. Bless me, sorry. Bringing it back up. Switching legs again. And back down. Bringing it up. Taking a deep breath in, switching legs, and back down. Doing good. And back up. Go ahead and shake it off. Little breather and back for the next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. What we're actually going to be doing are called butterflies. So for a butterfly, you're just going to want to put your feet against each other. You're going to want to bring them into you as much as you can. And I want you to try to get your nose to your feet as much as possible. You're going to bring it down. You're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Come back up. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and let it out as you're going back down for the other 30 seconds. Beginning now. Go ahead and bring it in. Take a deep breath. Let it out and back down. Continue to breathe. You're doing good. And time. Gonna take a little breather and be back for our next exercise. We're back. We're gonna move on to our next exercise. We're gonna be doing our called knee hugs. So for a knee hug, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna lay on your back. You're gonna wanna make sure that your feet are extended. You're gonna bring your knee to your chest. You're gonna put your hands around it and you're gonna push it, you're gonna pull it towards your chest as much as you can, releasing it, and then moving on to the next leg. We're gonna do one leg at a time. We're gonna do one leg for 30 seconds, then switch to the next one. We're gonna do that for 2 minutes, beginning now. Each time, trying to get that leg closer and closer to your chest as possible. Doing good. Go ahead and switch. and switch. One more. Go ahead and switch. Doing good. And time. Go ahead and shake that off and we'll be back for the next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. What we're actually going to be doing now it's called a straddle. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open your legs as far as you can. You're going to want to reach your hands up and we're going to go down the middle first. We're going to hold that for 30 seconds. We're going to bring it back up. Then we're going to go down to our right side and we're going to hold that for 30 seconds. Bringing it back up and still inhaling as you're coming up and exhaling as you're going down to the opposite side on the left side. We're going to repeat this. We're going to do this for 2 minutes. Beginning now. Doing good. Go ahead and inhale up and exhale to the right. Keep breathing. Doing good. Inhale up. And exhale to the left. Doing good. Inhale to the top and hold. Exhale down the middle. Go ahead and inhale up. Hold it. And relax. That is the end of that exercise. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to move on to our next exercise. What we're going to be doing is actually a deep lunge with our hands in the air. So for that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get yourself into a lunge. What you're going to want to do is make sure you're pushing down as much as you can with your hands in the air. We're going to hold that for 30 seconds. We're going to relax it. Then we're going to go ahead and alternate to the following leg. We're going to do this for 2 minutes, alternating every 30 seconds. Make sure you're trying to get your hips to the ground as much as possible. Beginning now. Doing good. Go ahead and relax it and switch. We're going to do the opposite leg now. And begin. You want to try to get your arms behind your head as much as you possibly can to make you get that push for your hips lower to the ground. Go ahead and relax. Go ahead and switch legs again. Go ahead and relax it. Go to your alternate leg. And begin. And time. That is the end of that exercise. We're going to take a little breather and move on to our next exercise. We're back. We're going to be moving on now to our final exercise, or like our stretch for the day. What we're going to be doing is actually called a standing glute stretch. So for that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have an empty wall. You're going to want to get yourself on the wall and only go as low as you can go. You're going to want to pick up one leg and you're going to place it on top of your knee, and you're going to want to make sure that you're feeling that stretch on your hamstring and on both sides. We're going to do that for a minute with 30 seconds on each side, beginning now. Go ahead and switch. And come up. That is the end of our cool down section. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time.